What does it take to win this race? Andy Bicchetti just might have the answer. A little luck, some patience is all he has lacked. But it has been more than enough to send him home dejected, angry, pointing fingers.
Yeah, just one of those deals, you know, Syracuse, real tight. Lap cars just got together there and collected me up.
He is fast. He is fearless. He is focused. The wild child needs a few more pieces of the puzzle to paint his masterpiece. Today, Andy Bicchetti faces 150 miles and himself. It's the Gould's Pumps. Salute to the Troops 150. Next.
Welcome to the Moody Mile. We're at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse, New York. Today, the beginning of Super Dirt Week 35. The Gould's Pumps. Salute to the Troops 150. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin with Shane Andrews topside, and Mark Kenyon will be down on pit road for us. Today, the Dirt Small Block modifies. The 358s will be at center stage. They've run this race now 27 times, counting this year. It's been every length imaginable. Started with 15 miles way back when. It'll be 150 miles here today, and Shane, we never know what we'll see.
This race started out primarily for 358 drivers only, but as it has grown in stature over the years, we started to see some of the big block drivers come in and do a little moonlighting, a little test and tune session. This is one of the best races of Super Dirt Week. Anything can happen in this race, and it usually does.
Well, race strategy is always the key here because you can't quite go all 150 miles on a set of tires or a tank of gas. In fact, the small block modified struggle to go much more than 110, 115 miles. It means all these teams have to make a pit stop.
That's where the confusion and the craziness starts. These teams are not used to pitting. They're used to just coming in, changing tires, and putting in gas without having any pressure. But today, there is pressure on the crews. You come down, a quick fill, a full tank of gas, change a sneaker, and you're back out. The crews have to be on top of their game, just like the drivers.
As we say, this is the 27th running of this small block event, part of Super Dirt Week. The big names in dirt motorsports history have gone to victory lane here several times. Brett Hearn, Pete Bicknell. Of course, we've seen Billy Decker win many times here, but Mark Kenyon is standing by with a young driver who just can't seem to close the deal at the Moody Mile.
They call him the wild child, Andy Bicchetti. He's wicked fast, sometimes too fast. Sometimes he'll drive the wheels off these cars. He's come so close to winning this race. Andy, you have been right there, coming down, take the white flag, down into 3, run out of gas, flat tires, wrecks. What does this race mean to you, and what would it mean to win?
This race is, you know, it's always been a tough one for us. We've always been fast. You know, this year, last year, this year we haven't been fast all week, and seemed like this morning we picked the pace up, and hopefully that's a good omen. You know, we haven't been fast all week here, and you know, the old Forge Power Sports cars, you know, it's in race trim right now, so hopefully we'll come from deep here in the pack, and just be an awesome feeling, awesome thing to win this, and you know, get the guys pumped up, and just have a, you know, decent ending to Super Dirt Week.
You're starting 13th, a little far back. Passing always tough here, always tough to do. I was down in turn 1. The cinders are starting to come up. Do you look for any kind of tire issues? Are you concerned about tire issues? And the second part of the question, fuel mileage.
Well, I think fuel mileage, I don't know if that's going to be a big issue here. You know, we had pretty good fuel mileage most of the week, but, you know, we weren't up to speed really, so I can't really say that. But tires, I think, are going to be an issue here. Normally they're not, but this, you know, this isn't normal for Super Dirt Week. It's normally raining here and it's wet, but right now it's real dry, a lot of cinders. I think it'll be rubbered down. Middle of the race, I gotta say tires are definitely gonna be an issue.
Andy Bicchetti, he's been wicked fast here, the wild child, and he's looking to put himself in victory lane. Remember, he came within a half a lap of winning this race, and today could be his day.
Well, Shane, Andy Becchetti has to come from the 7th row today here at the Moody Mile.
Becchetti, no stranger to speed, though. He is a regular at the Lebanon Valley Speedway, where he was the 2006 small block track champion.
Becchetti, one of the rising young stars in dirt modified racing, but one of the veterans. Pat Ward will lead the field to green today in the 42. It is the ITT Industries Gould's Pump Salute to the Troops 150, a special flyover here for the fans at the New York State Fairgrounds.
Rush Hour on Dirt is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. We're ready in advance. Eckert Pharmacy. You'll like what we do for you.
We welcome you back to the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse, New York. Huge crowd of folks on hand. The campers lot is full.
This is a beautiful day, Rick. You remember a year ago we were here, we were sitting in the rain most of the day. Not today, 73 degrees, nothing but blue skies over Syracuse, New York.
Could change to snow, though, by later this afternoon, if history is any guide. You know, they've been racing here for 100 years or more. All the history of this place. What a wonderful place to come and race. 37 cars will go at it here this afternoon.
150 laps. The last 3 laps have to end under green, white checker. All laps count. $52,000 total purse, $20,000 going to the winner.
One of the biggest purses these small block drivers will run for, and this is a mile racetrack.
Not a lot of banking, but a little bit. 3 degrees in the corners. It is a clay, stone, dust surface. Very tough place to get a hold of.
Almost like asphalt, as we will see as the afternoon unfolds. You can see the black patches of rubber laid down here already. Let's get it downstairs to our pit reporter, Mark Kenyon, to look at the track conditions at the fairgrounds.
Track conditions. This is Syracuse, the Moody Mile, the biggest small block race in the nation. This track, they tried to put clay on it. The clay lumped up, peeled off. We're down to the original track, but look at this. This is cinders from the horse track. This is going to break away. As this breaks away, it's going to blow up in the high groove. The high groove is going to be slippery unless a bunch of cars go up there. The groove is widening out. It's getting a little bit better, but track conditions are going to be tough. I don't look for a tire wear problem. I look for this, making guys loose, trying to get in on the outside. Don't go anywhere. This is the baddest small block race on the planet. And guess what, boys? It is go time.
There are a lot of things that make coming to Super Dirt Week at the New York State Fairgrounds special. The history, the challenge of the biggest racetrack they run on all year.
This race started in 1980 for the 358 Modifieds. Only 16 drivers have graced victory lane. If you win here today, it puts you on the map.
And some of the greats in the sport have won this 150-mile chase for these small block modifieds. As we've said, a beautiful day to go racing at this historic track. Mark Kenyon, let's get the field fired up.
With me is Brigadier General David Shepard, the Director of the New York State Homeland Security. General, get us started.
Drivers,
start your engines!
The motors coming to life along the main straightaway at Syracuse. 37 cars and drivers to do battle 150 miles today here in New York.
A nice mix of touring professionals and weekend warriors ready to challenge one another.
It's the ITT Industries Gould's Pump Salute to the Troops 150. We'll be back for the start. Welcome back to Syracuse on the pace laps of the ITT Industries Gould's Pump Salute to the Troops 150. Let's take a look at our starting lineup. Pat Ward in that Gypsum Express 42P on the pole. Pete McNell, a multiple winner of this race on the outside. He is from Canada. Matt Shepard in the 44. That's a yellow car. And Gary Edwards in the 55 starts fourth.
Row number 3, Billy Decker out of Sydney, New York, and Brett Hearn, a 3-time winner of this event. He'll start in 6th. Row number 4, Greg Walbach in the 14, and Vic Coffey out of Leicester, New York.
And the 5th row for the 358 Modifieds here at Syracuse. Tim Fuller in car number 19. And the Dr. Danny Johnson, that's the 27J. He's got one of our onboard cameras. Row number 6, Chad Brackman, the Pizza Logs 3. And Kerry Terrence in car number 66.
Row number 7, Andy Becchetti out of Sheffield, Massachusetts. And Willie Decker, a rookie in this race, out of Vernon, New York. Row number 8, Pat O'Brien, current points leader of the 358 Modified Series. And past winner, Wayne Jelly in the 45.
9th row, Scott Flammer is aboard car number 37. Chris Schultz in the 24. He will line up in the 18th starting spot. 10th row, Todd Stone in car number 1. And one of the Canadians in the field, Cale Robidoux in car number 46.
Row number 11, Donnie Corellis in the 21, and Mark Flack Jr. He'll start 22nd in the 77 car. Row number 12, Brian McDonald out of Cornwall, Ontario, and Kenny Tremont in the 115, former winner of this event as well.
13th row, John Lutz in car number 8 starts 25th. Keith Flack in the 43 will be alongside. 26th spot. Rich Rickner in the 26 goes 27th today. And the 48 of Dave Raucher will line up on the outside of the 14th row.
Roy Tarbell will start at 29th with Mark Forte Jr. rounding out the 30th position, while Sean Donath and Paul Kinney will make up row number 16.
Last couple of rows, the 17th row, Jeff Marshall in the 80, Lance Willix in car number 37. He has the 34th starting spot today. Jeff Sykes in the 81, Robbie Grant in the 77, and shotgun on the field, 37th and last starting spot to Ted Teal in car number 40. So 37 drivers with a shot at a $20,000 payday today here at the Moody Mile. Getting set to go green. 8 former winners, 11 rookies. The onboards, we told you about Danny Johnson back in the 5th row, a guy to watch today.
That's a sight Danny would like to have behind him all day. Everybody looking at his back end.
Andy Bicchetti in car number 4 starts 13th. We talked to him before the start, a guy who's been close here before.
That'll give us a nice shot to see how they work the wheel. And look at this one, right over the right shoulder of pole sitter Pat Ward. This should give us some exciting shots of the mile.
Ward in that 42P. He, of course, the pole sitter here this afternoon. The Gypsum Express red machine that you see right there. The guy on the outside pole, certainly a driver to contend with here.
Not only does he build the cars, but he races them. Pete Bicknell, he is one to watch. He knows how to win on the mile.
Safety car heads for pit road. 150 miles to go at the New York State Fairgrounds. Glad to have you with us for the ITT Industries Gould's Pumps 150. We're underway. Shepard on the outside of Ward to the lead.
An incredible move. Matt Shepard went around Pete McNell, then went to the top side, finding something early on to take over the top spot.
First trip down the backstretch this afternoon. Matt Shepard jumps to a quick lead. Now, I'm not so sure that you want to be the fastest guy here in the first few laps.
Well, you do want to get out in front and see what your car can do. You want to be in clean air. You don't want to be boxed behind somebody, because at Syracuse, you're only as fast as the car in front of you. If you get caught behind someone, you have to adjust your whole race.
Well, this race at the New York State Fairgrounds often turns on fuel economy. Everyone chasing Matt Shepard here in the 44. When you take your pit stop is key.
Exactly. You want to see how good your car is going to be and then make your adjustments after the mandatory pit stop. Shepard wasting no time jumping out front. He did win this race back in 2003, so he is considered one of the favorites to win today.
On board, Danny Johnson's 27J started 10th. He's picked up 2 spots already.
He's got big coffee breathing on his tailpipes as they come off of turn number 4 as they work their way through the field.
It's a pretty warm day here for October in Syracuse, and tire wear also will be key. This is a very flat, very hard surface, and right rear tires, the wear there can be a premium.
Nobody really knew what this track was going to be like this year. Back in June, New York State put clay down all the way around the track, so when we showed up on Thursday and the rain was here, it was a completely different surface than anybody had ever seen. But now the sun has been out for the last couple of days. The track is back to what everybody knows about Syracuse.
Danny Johnson in that black number 27. Right behind him, the veteran Vic Coffey in the 32, one of the Sweeteners Plus cars. They run 8th and 9th in the early going here at the New York State Fairgrounds. Back on board Johnson.
Danny really hasn't had a season that Danny Johnson is used to having. He was with JIR Motorsports earlier this year, won a series race with the big blocks, moved over to the Dave Thompson team, who he's driving for right now, but he has some momentum on his side. Last weekend picked up $20,000 by winning the Victoria 200.
Matt Shepard in the 44 shows the way here in the first handful of laps. He jumped to the front around pole sitter Pat Ward. Now, if you're Ward, you're thinking, hey, you want to keep him in sight probably, but chasing him down in the first 20 laps may not be critical. Shepard the leader, Ward is second. Pete McNell and Billy Decker will be back. Welcome back to Syracuse. Coverage of Super Dirt Week here on Speed with Shane Andrews, Iverick Benjamin, Mark Kenyon on pit road, riding with Pat Ward. Down the end of the back straightaway, Ward still chasing Matt Shepard in that 44. Here comes Bicknell in the 42. Multi-time winner of this thing, maybe the dominant small block racer here in Syracuse.
Pete Bicknell has had much success here at this race and this event. 5-time feature winner. He rattled off 3 in a row, 98, 99, and 2000. Has hit a bit of a cold streak, but he's right there in the top 3.
Climbing by the 7 there was Robbie Grant on the inside. 12 laps complete. McNell third behind Ward. Decker up to fourth now with Brett Hearn fifth, the guy everyone always has to account for. Rick Laubach in sixth. Edwards, Coffey, and the doctor, Danny Johnson. Now the guy on the move, Tim Fuller, looks like he wants to get by Danny Johnson and Vic Coffey, trying to get up into contention here.
Coffey was able to get by Danny Johnson, putting him back one spot. Andy Bichetti, talk about a guy that's fearless on this mile, always working that wheel, trying to keep the car as straight as possible on this track.
Yeah, this is a lot like racing on asphalt, a lot different from the short tracks these guys run on week in and week out. A lot of money at stake, big fast place, and it's such a hard surface here, you have to keep the car straight.
This is not a track where you want to hang the rear end out on the car. You need to stay smooth and keep the car underneath you. If you scrub off speed here, everybody's going to get by you.
McKinney will pull a tear off, goes by Robbie Grant's lap machine there on the inside. McKinney very smooth behind the wheel, but also fearless. We've seen him put on some great charges here at Syracuse over the years. Watching the battle down the front straightaway, Tim Fuller now has gotten by Vic Coffey and Danny Johnson, so the doctor back in 10th. And Fuller's on the move. Let's get on board with Johnson.
Chad Brockman looking at Danny Johnson once again as they come off the turn. You can hear where they get on the throttle in the corners. Danny getting on the throttle a little earlier than everybody else.
Fuller in that 19 car wants to get to the front. There's Johnson in that black number 27, one of the great veterans of dirt modified racing. Vic Coffey's been around a long time as well, up ahead in that 32C. This is one of those races, Shane, that as long as you can stay on the lead lap, you're never really out of contention. You certainly want to keep the leader in sight if possible, but you can rally here in Syracuse.
There's a couple of different races within 150 laps here at the track. Number one, you want to stay on the lead lap. Number two, you want to have a good pit stop so you stay within the leaders. And number three, you have to conserve tires and you have to conserve gas.
Yeah, this is the only race of the year for these guys where they have actually a hot pit stop while the race might be under green or yellow. There is a pit road here at Syracuse, and it is wild. There's essentially no rule about pitting.
You can come in as fast as you want. You are pitting on dirt because the track isn't paved and neither is the pit road area. So it puts a lot of pressure on the crews, and the crews don't have to do a live pit stop at all during the season. Puts a lot of pressure on them to perform.
Riding here with Pat Ward, second in that 42P. That's Matt Shepard up in front, the leader in the yellow 44 car. Super Matt, another one of the young guns who's really made a name for himself the last few years.
He sure has. 2003 was a coming out party for him in that number 44S. He won this race, propelled him into this ride with Randy Ross, that GU Hardware 44S.
Get a look there at Pete Bicknell's blue car number 42 running third. He's on his third motor of Super Dirt Week.
He had two of them blow up here on the mile. They went and they got their short track motor and put it in behind the chassis of this car, which is a Bicknell chassis. You don't see that too much anymore. Everybody comes to Syracuse with Syracuse prepared cars and motors. So for him to use his own Saturday night small block, it puts him at a bit of a disadvantage.
Oh, it was an act of desperation. In fact, the speculation in the pit area this morning was that there was some other problem on the car that had caused him to go through two motors, as well as Bicknell's cars are usually prepared, especially for this race. But he's got that short track piece in there right now, and he is hanging with the leaders as we ride down the backstretch here with Pat Ward.
You see the debris, the cinders coming up with Pat Ward. That gives you a great shot of what these drivers have to go through, especially going down the backstretch with the sun right there as they head west on the Moody Mile.
Get a look at the front straightaway here at Syracuse. If you're familiar with the dirt miles of the United States, you know this one's been in existence for more than 100 years. It was a horse track for a long time, as most of these places were. They turned in trouble for the 19 car. Tim Fuller looks like he's got a tire down. Caution is out.
The defending race winner, he won this race last year underneath the lights, and a right rear flat on the Fuller number 19.
So Tim Fuller, who was on the charge, he had made a move up to 8th. He'd gotten by Danny Johnson and Vic Coffey. He's going to have to come to pit road early.
We know he's going to have to come to pit road. Will anybody else come down pit road?
Not quite to the 12. His tire just comes apart on him into one. Have another look at it here as he went into turn 3.
He's lucky he didn't make contact with the wall. That's a very tricky portion of the speedway. You get up in that loose stuff, it'll push you right up in the concrete.
Well, Fuller gets to pit road. They're going to fuel the car. They've obviously got to change the right rear.
Did you see they had tape over the quick fill? They need to pull the tape off before they can put gas into the car. That's going to cost them some time on pit road.
Tape there for aerodynamic purposes. They will change. Look at that right rear tire. just in bits and pieces now. Is this too early for him to get all the way home?
It might be, but he had to come in for that tire, so you might as well put in gas and play it out. If he gets another caution to work with, I wouldn't be surprised if he dived back down pit road again.
Now the 19 team gets that tire change. They top him off with fuel, and Fuller will come back onto the speedway. Able to make that stop under caution. He should not go a lap down right here. Now Rick Laubach came to pit road as well. They're working on his car.
Interesting move by the Alpha Mills team to come in. He takes a right rear tire, and he also takes some gasoline. Man, Scott Flammer in the 37 coming out. Little strategy being played.
Only 20 laps on the board. These guys may be thinking, hey, we can go 130 on a tank of fuel and tires and get all the way home to the checkered flag today.
Boy, that's going to be tough, though, especially on this track. They're going to need a lot of help.
We've seen many of these small block modified stars gamble in the past. We'll see if it pays off. Back in Syracuse, New York, the New York State Fairgrounds for the ITT Industries Gould's Pumps 150. The Salute to the Troops 150. I'm Rick Benjamin, Shane Andrews alongside, working lap 37, and the top three have started to pull away.
That big lead Matt Shepard had on Pat Ward and Pete McNell has evaporated. I wonder if his crew came over the radio and said, Matt, back it down just a little bit. This is a long race.
You know, this is one of those places where you really need to go slow to be fast at the end. You just have to be conservative, and we've seen guys pull the rabbit act, run out in front, and just use up their race car, not have anything left for the last 20 laps when this is off and settled. Now here's Vic Coffey making a move to the inside out of 2, getting by Gary Edwards.
They banged wheels off of corner number 2. Coffey in the 32C. Not a lot of room on the back stretch to work. We see it on the front stretch. This track is very wide on the front stretch, but it narrows on the back stretch.
5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th in play. Meantime, Brett Hearn on the charge in car number 4. Coffey still trying to get around the 55. Edwards rebounded from that little body slam he got there on turn 2 last lap, and he got back around the 32C.
He's pushing the car hard into corner number 1 and 2, and he's skating up just a little bit, but Coffey isn't able to get underneath him when the door opens.
McNell still 3rd, Decker 4th, Hearn 5th. There's Edwards in the 55, and Coffey back a little further. Pichetti on the move. Remember, he started 13th. Danny Johnson has gotten himself back up to 8th as Pichetti closes in.
Boy, Pichetti was on the gas hard off of corner number 4. Look at him pull right up alongside the Wild Child and the Doctor doing battle.
You have to be easy down into the corner here. You've got to protect the right side tires on these race cars. Pichetti takes it easy as he goes down. You really need to be on the inside here. You don't see too many passes on the outside. Very little too wide racing generally, and Johnson pulls away again from Pichetti.
We've seen Pichetti use the top side to his advantage in years past, but I guess he just didn't feel comfortable enough with the way the car's working right now to keep it on the top side as he looked to get around Danny Johnson.
Well, as you get experience here in Syracuse, and again, we've seen it many times over the years, you'll try things early. You'll see, hey, I can run up there. It's solid enough. There's enough cushion to allow me to do it. The problem is on a sunny day, this track will change a lot before we get to the 150th lap.
There's a fine line up there between keeping the car underneath you and wrecking. And look at Pichetti with another run.
On the inside, down into turn 3, Johnson gives him room, and Pichetti rolls through. Andy Pichetti to 8th now in that 4 car, which is a very fast piece here at Syracuse.
He's got to feel good about the way that car is running for him. Let's see if he can close in on Vic Coffey and Gary Edwards.
Morning practice before we went green here today. Pichetti in the 4 car, the fastest of the 37 teams in this 150-mile chase. Matt Shepard continues to lead. Decker continues to hold forth. We put 42 laps on the board, 108 miles to go this afternoon. Down into turn 3, single file. Coffey in the 32C, still chasing Edwards. And right behind Brett Hearn in that other car number 4. That's called the 4-star here this weekend. Pichetti trying to reel in that group.
We haven't really talked much about Brett Hearn early in this race, a 3-time winner of this event. Hearn is a master of the mile, knows how to get the most out of his equipment.
The problem for Hearn, both in this event and in the big block Eckerd 200 that comes up later in Super Dirt Week, has been reliability the last many years.
Last year we saw him leading this race, and we saw smoke billowing out of the car. He was able to hold on. He finished in the top 3. They had trouble. Same team, Vinny Salerno owns this car. They're confident with the piece that they brought here this year.
Shepard still the leader. Ward runs 2nd. Picknell content to ride 3rd. We've documented how McNell certainly knows how to get the job done here in this 150-lap small block event on the Moody Mile. Ward in the Gypsum Express car. What a victory for him it would be if they could close the deal here today.
Pat Ward giving us some exceptional shots. Look at how he rides down into corner number 3 and 4. He just lets the car skate right through off the throttle and then picks it right back up in the middle of the turn.
He's raced for more than 25 years, won his first Mr. Dirt Small Block Championship a couple of seasons ago.
Pat always ran his own equipment, and then he teamed up with John and Laura White with the Gypsum Express team, and he has been a contender every race. And of course, his teammate Billy Decker brought a lot to the table, so this is a very formidable two-car team that they have today.
Just like in most forms of racing, if you have good information and from both cars, good exchange of ideas, it really helps the team build. There's Decker in the 91, the 55 of Edwards, Coffey in the 32, still fighting for position. Coffey on the bottom now out of 4, and again, Edwards closes the door on him.
Not sure, but that looks like there might be a little bit of smoke billowing from Billy Decker's number 91 car.
Decker's been a winner here many times, both Saturday and Sunday during Super Dirt Week in the big and small block events. Looks as though there may be a problem. I noticed it down into 1 last time, Shane. Looks as though he's got some fluid coming out of the back end of the 91 car.
Well, let's see the line Brett Hearn takes. While he does follow him, but he is moving around. Hearn doesn't really want to stay behind him. There might be something, like you said, Rick, out of that back end.
Danny Johnson, meantime, on the inside. He is 9th right now. Danny knows how to do the job here as well. Able to keep the leaders in sight in that 27J, the black machine.
That guy right behind him, Wayne Jelly, was the winner of this race in 2004, so he knows how to win the mile as well. He's going to follow Danny Johnson.
Regular at Lebanon Valley Speedway over in Eastern New York. There's Chad Brackman in that 3-car, the Pizza Logs entry. He's usually very good here at the mile as well.
Smoke getting heavier out of the Decker line, Rick.
4-4, Scott, you see that smoke?
Yeah, it just got bad that lap. I don't know what it is.
Decker with his spotter off the gas.
There it is. Guess we know what it is now.
Drive line.
So our second caution of the day, Decker is done, and this means that many of the leaders will undoubtedly want to come to pit road, make their only pit stop of the day.
This is going to change this race considerably. Billy Decker out, a 2-time winner back in 91 and in 2002.
Pole sitter Pat Ward continues to run second. I'm sure he's one of the drivers who will want to make a pit stop during this caution. We'll be back. Back at the New York State Fairgrounds, Billy Decker getting that push onto pit road. The Gypsum Express 91 done for the day here in the small block event on Saturday. Meantime, the field comes around behind the pace car. Matt Shepard will be the first car out of turn 4. He's led just about all the way.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see him dive down pit road along with everyone else.
The leader's coming in, so everybody else is going to follow. Shepard holds the car down in. I'll see if I can get a look at the right rear. They were going to make a decision on tires when he came in. The tire looks feathered. I think they may try to change it. They're looking at it. We'll see if they make the call. In the meantime, Hearn's crew, they're trying to clean his shield off, whatever Decker is leaking. No tires for Matt Shepard.
Shepard away on the gas. Oh, and he and Brett Hearn get together.
Boy, this is awfully tight down here. Look at as they come by. There's cars pitted 3 wide in the middle of the pit lane.
Like 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the LA freeway. Hearn down on the speedway. Pat Ward getting service.
Clear out, Pat. Clear all the way out. Clear all the way out.
Ward away cleanly. Now Danny Johnson on pit road.
Looks like the doctor's going to take a tire. Different strategy. We saw race leader Matt Shepard. He didn't take a tire.
Look at this. There's 6 of them stacked up here.
Andy Picchetti's blocked in. The wild child can't get out.
Stalled the car. Jams it in gear. Oh, trouble. Somebody gets knocked down on pit road.
Scott Flammer in the 37 just hit somebody's crew guy. Oh, that's Willie Decker's tire man, Bob Utter. He's okay. Wow, Rick.
They help Utter over the fence and out of harm's way. Gives you an idea of just how frantic it is on pit road here at Syracuse. Under caution when everybody needs to take fuel and tires. One more look at Matt Shepard as he came to a stop a moment ago. Then got into it a little bit with Brett Hearn. Both cars able to continue. Andy Johnson gets his service work complete. Pichetti stalled the 4-car, got it refired, and behind Pichetti, take another look. That's where Bob Utter was knocked to pit road. He is helped up and he's okay.
Organized chaos on the mile.
Welcome back to the New York State Fairgrounds, the Moody Mile for the ITT Industries. Gould's Pumps Salute to the Troops 150, getting set for a restart. Now, the top 10 did not pit. Pete McNell and the rest of these drivers rolling the dice here to see if they can get another caution later.
Interesting strategy to pit later on in the event. They might even take tires along with gas to see if they can cycle back up through the field.
Got 57, and we are back underway at the Moody Mile. Now, Brett Hearn was the first of the cars that pitted to come off of pit road, so you've got to figure that he will cycle back to the lead at some point in that 4-star machine.
Well, there's a couple of cars that are in front of him, though, that pitted earlier. Lap number 20, Rick Laubach in the 14, and the number 19 of Tim Fuller.
And we know Fuller is fast. He is certainly one of the top runners in dirt modified racing in the Northeast in the small and the big blocks.
Wow, 130 laps, though, Rick. That's a long time to go on the mile.
We've seen others try it here. I can't recall a time when it's been successful. Now, Pat Ward started from the pole in the 42P. He ran second behind Matt Shepard. He's shown 15th now. He's got his work cut out for him. There is Shepard, followed by Ward, as they work to come back up through the field after stopping with that incident involving Billy Decker's machine. Decker behind the wall, the multi-time winner here at Syracuse.
Pat Ward's got to be thinking, what do I have to do to get around Matt Shepard? I've been following him all day. I followed him into the pits. I'm still following him on the racetrack.
Now we'll see just how mature Pat Ward has become the last couple of years. If he can just take his time here, work patiently to get by Shepard. He tries him on the inside on the front stretch. Doesn't quite have enough to get it done.
You can see him 3 wide. Everybody funneling in down to the turn. Danny Johnson with a bonsai move.
The doctor in that 27J, 17th now. He did stop in that sequence as well, so I'm sure he's thinking I'm set to go the rest of the afternoon here.
He's still on the top side looking to make something happen, trying to get around the Donnie Cross.
Oh, contact! Down into the corner, a couple of cars rub rails, and that's Danny Johnson that was involved in that.
Danny does have a fresher Hoosier tire on the right rear, so he's able to make a little bit more of a challenge on the top side than everybody else.
Wayne Jelly in that 45 car back in the mix here as well. Danny Johnson 17th. As we watch these cars single file on the bottom of the racetrack, heading to the backstretch. Brett Hearn's in trouble. Hearn in the 4-star machine takes it to the inside. He's headed for the pits.
Something internal, or was it from the contact with Shepard on pit road?
Well, Hearn's had nothing but rotten luck here at the New York State Fairgrounds, both on Saturday and Sunday the last several years. Mark Kenyon downstairs with his car owner, Salerno.
Vinny out early. That car was a rocket ship. He was having trouble seeing with Decker, but what finally took you out?
Something in the driveline. We're not real sure. We're going to get a push to now check it out.
This car's been fast all year. Big disappointment for you guys.
Yeah, big disappointment. We'll be back, though. Don't worry about that.
Vinny Salerno, owner of the nice and easy number 4. Hearn out.
You can never count out Brett Hearn out of any race. Mechanical blows have just hurt him the last couple of years.
It's just killed him here. He's had fast race cars every year, Saturday and Sunday. No ability to finish, and these are long, long events. Up front, still Pete McNell in the 42. Out of St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. McNell on a much different pit strategy from some of the other fast cars. We go back a little further to find Matt Shepard. 62 laps on the board. Edwards and Coffey round out the top 3.
Pete McNell's Saturday Night Motor holding up very well here so far.
And this is a much bigger racetrack than McNell normally runs at. Maybe twice as big as his regular Saturday night haunt. But sometimes at Syracuse, it's a case of taking it easy to go faster. And I'm sure McNell thinking, hey, I've got to breathe this motor, not hustle it down into the corner too hard. Let's get on board with Danny Johnson, 15th. Now, these cars this group of cars may contain our winner here this afternoon.
They all pitted and they came in. Danny Johnson changed that tire. Wayne Jelly right behind him. Jelly, the 2004 winner. And Matt Shepard still leading this brigade.
Danny Johnson now trying to reel in Pat Ward in the 42P. And back there is Wayne Jelly. Jelly to the inside of the doctor and one. They get together. A little contact there, looked like.
Everybody you could see trying to get in behind Wayne Jelly. If he had a line underneath Danny Johnson, they were going to try and freight train by him.
Shepard still in front of this group of cars. Ward is 14th, second among these cars that pitted during the caution for Billy Decker's wounded machine.
You made a very good point. We could see the winner come out of this group of cars. Everybody right there is already pitted. But the thing that I have to wonder, tire wear. The only guy in this group right here that took tires was Danny Johnson.
Could have been the smartest play at all for the great veteran who drives the 27J. He's been here many, many, many times over the seasons and knows just about all the stories there are to tell about racing in Syracuse. Side by side, down into one. Vic Coffey makes a move there on the 55 of Gary Edwards. Picks up second spot and now runs away. Obviously, Edwards was holding up Coffey. He'll try to play the track position game. Mark Kenyon's caught up with Brett Hearn.
Brett, what happened out there? Looked like you had a motor problem.
It's either in the transmission, or the drive line, or maybe possibly a broken piston. But you know, we're going good up to that point.
The Bicknell guys were just over here talking to you. What were you guys talking about?
Well, you know, they like to play little weaselly tricks, and one of the tricks was to come down here and drop down like he was going to the pits to block me from getting to the pit area, and had no intention of pitting. I wasn't too happy about it.
And you let them know. It's got to be a big disappointment for you, Brett. Syracuse getting kind of tough with breaking driveline stuff.
I don't know what else we can do, man. It's all good stuff, all new stuff. Nothing you can do.
Brett Hearn out today.
Just shows you how much pressure there is on these teams and drivers to want to win here at the mile, whether it's on the racetrack or in the pits. And obviously, Brett Hearn, he wanted to win this race.
Oh, this is one of those events that the payoff is huge financially. It's big in points in terms of the Mr. Dirt Championships, but really it's the prestige of winning at the biggest racetrack on the tour. On board again with Danny Johnson. Getting by Pat Ward there in the 42P.
Danny Johnson must have something underneath him today. And I mean that from the standpoint that he has a good handling race car. We don't normally see guys drive around somebody on the mile like Danny Johnson just did to Pat Ward.
Well, Pat Ward shuffled back to 15th now in that Gypsum Express car. Danny Johnson chasing down Matt Shepard. These cars have pitted already. McNell continues to run up front in the other 42, the black machine out of Canada. There he is. Out of the front straightaway, continuing to lay down some very strong laps down into turn one. Big Coffey in seconds. Oh, McNell in trouble. McNell may have clouded the inside part of the racetrack.
You're clear. You can get her down. Okay, go, 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 go.
McNell getting back on the gas.
The inside berm with the left front. We're down to fourth here, guys.
You heard a spotter say he hit the inside berm, an uncharacteristic mistake by Mr. Smallblock.
Take a look at it again here in two. Just turned in too tight in that car. It has to give up the lead. May have damaged things. Looks like the car's kind of crabbing down the straightaway now.
We'll have to see if this is going to affect the handling of his race car throughout the remainder of this event. A hard shot to the inside berm.
I think Bicknell bent something in the rear end of the 42 car, so even though he was fast and on a different pit strategy, that move may have cost him the race. Vic Coffey takes over the lead now. Oh, and the car's in trouble.
Kerry Terrence in the 66 sideways in the back straightaway. Not a place you want to be sitting.
Just past halfway, our third caution of the day. That is what some of these teams, Bicknell, Coffey, Edwards, and others, needed to come to pit road. We'll be back. "65 miles to go in Syracuse. The ITT Industries Gould's Pump salute to the troops 150. Alongside Shane Andrews, I'm Rick Benjamin. Mark Kenyon on pit road, which is about to become a pretty busy place as we are under caution.
If you haven't pitted, now is the time to do it as we get closer to the end of this race.
Vic Coffey had assumed the lead in the Sweeteners Plus 32C. Looks as though he will take this opportunity to make his stop and get set up.
Try to come straight into the stall. Be straight.
Crew telling him be straight coming in.
Okay, here he comes, guys. Here he comes. Nice and smooth.
Here comes Edwards in the 55 as well.
Pit road shouldn't be as congested as it was on the first pit stops.
If you're stopping now, you can light fuel. You don't need a full tank to get home here. They're going to change both right side tires on the 32C.
Not a bad strategy by Coffey to put right rear rubber and front rubber on.
Andy McKinney in the old Forge 4 car coming back in. He was sitting back in 20th. The New York Truck Parts team of Edwards finishing their service on the 55. Edwards has been strong today.
Watch up on top of the pit road. Here comes Pete McNell. Remember, he lost a bunch of spots. Can he beat these guys out?
On your outside, right there on your outside. Clear. Go, 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 go.
McNell quicker down pit road. There's no speed limit. He was able to blast by Coffey's pit stall and come back out of the speedway in front of the driver who was leading. Edwards is down and away, and here's Bichetti in the 4 car. So, very interesting as we get set for a restart here at the New York State Fairgrounds.
Pete McNell may have just put himself in a prime spot to win this race.
Rick Laubach is out front, stopped on lap 20. Bichetti will restart 14th. Pat Ward will line up 7th. And the doctor, Danny Johnson, carrying one of our onboard views. He's 5th. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the New York State Fairgrounds coverage of Super Dirt Week. The 358 Modifieds in the spotlight today. Pit stops after a caution. Now let's see who's cycled where. Rick Laubach will be the restart pole sitter. Tim Fuller will start 3rd in the 19 car. They all stopped back in the early laps, right around lap number 20. Mark Kenyon.
You guys trying to steal one, you'd have to go 127 laps. Is that what you're going to try to do?
We're going to try to. I don't know if we can do it yet or not. We're ciphering right now if we can go the distance.
Were you forced into that strategy because of that right rear flat?
Yes.
They're going to try to go 127 laps. This could be a feat of biblical proportions, but we'll see. Fuller trying to steal one.
Fuller's really going to have to massage that gas pedal to make that car go the distance.
Rick Laubach in the 14. He stopped when Fuller did way back in the 20s. He lines up 3rd, but he is the restart leader. 60 to go, and we're back underway at Syracuse. First 2 cars in line, lapped cars. Brian McDonald, Mark Flack up front there. There's Laubach, your leader in the 14. Roy Tarbell in that 007. He's turned in a good run today.
Tarbell out of Hogansburg, New York, showing very strong here on the mile. It's like anybody when they come into town. This is the only race of the year that they run on this track. Roy Tarbell, limited experience here, but making the most of it.
Fuller in the 19, Super Max Shepard with Danny Johnson in tow. Remember, those are the cars that stopped back around lap 50, so no question about whether they can go all the way or not. Into turn number 1. On board Johnson, 5th right now. Wayne Jelly back there in the 45 car. He runs 6th.
Getting a face full of cinders, too, from the back of the Johnson, number 27, Jay. We heard Andy Bichetti talk about that earlier in his interview with Mark, saying that there are a lot of cinders on the track. Well, you can see it right there as Wayne Jelly was getting a face full.
Fuller out of turn number 4. Shepard and Johnson next in line. Tire wear starting to become a concern to these race teams as we get close to 50 miles to go here today. We saw Vic Coffey's team take 2 right side tires, but there are indications some other teams didn't put any tires on when they pitted for fuel. Mark Kenyon, how about tires today?
Late in the going here, Matt Shepard did not take tires on his first pit stop. The tire was pretty feathered. He's a young gun. He's a hard charger. I don't know if those guys can keep that tire under him for the distance of this race. In the meantime, Fuller trying to go 127. So as it plays out, typical Syracuse. Gas mileage and tire wear coming to the top.
Matt Shepard used the same strategy to win this race back in 2003.
Tim Fuller's team watching from pit road. They've got their feet up on the wall. Everything goes right. Their driver will be able to boot that 19 car home. Shouldn't need to stop again today. But the battle rages here. Shepard in the 44 out of turn 4. Danny Johnson right behind him along with Wayne Jelly trying to track down Fuller now.
Pat Ward not out of the thick of that battle. And the 3 car, Chad Brockman, right behind him. And Brockman starting to look for different lanes to use.
Brockman in that Pizza Logs entry. He's been very impressive here today. He's a guy that you don't hear a lot about, but he's quick when we get to Syracuse every year. Onto the backstretch one more time. Brockman searching for traction up high. Pat Ward runs 7th now. Let's ride with him.
Chad Brockman just went past Pat Ward like he was tied to a tree on the top side. Again, down in turn number 3. Chad Brockman out of Wheatfield, New York, making a charge.
Danny Johnson here taking a look back. There's Jelly. Brockman starting to close in. Took a look down on the bottom. Johnson up onto the backstretch now, and Jelly knows if he can hang with the 27, he's got a good shot. But here comes Brockman on the inside.
All 3 of these drivers have won at the mile. The doctor in both the big block and small block. Wow, contact. Brockman shuts the door on Jelly.
Got up alongside the 45. A former winner, Wayne Jelly, rubbed on him a little down into 3 and completed the pass. Jelly right back at him, though.
Rick, the gloves are off.
Coming up on 50 laps to go, and here's Brockman rim riding, trying to get by Danny Johnson. Brockman in that white 3 car.
These two guys are not going to give it. Wow. Look at Jelly throwing his sideways, trying to keep up with him. Chad Brockman showing the doctor how to get it done.
Chad Brockman with a great move, and there he goes. There goes Johnson right around Jelly again. This is a place where car control is usually the key to victory. We've seen Brockman just say, hey, I'm going to shoulder my way by you guys. Look out.
Brockman's going to try the top side again in turn number 1. This time on Matt Shepard. Chad Brockman is a sensational race car underneath him.
Chad Brockman in that 3 car, that white car with the blue stripe down the middle, just rolls by Shepard, who led a lot of laps earlier. Now he's in behind Fuller.
I'll guarantee you Danny Johnson saw what he did, and he'll try it too. The top side worked for the doctor.
Danny Johnson goes high to get around Shepard's 44 car, so Danny Johnson up to 5th now. Fuller trying to hold off Brockman. I don't think he can do it. Here comes the doctor on the high side.
Danny Johnson, one heartfelt power pounds. Can he do it around both Brockman and Fuller? Unbelievable.
Danny Johnson finding what little grip there has to be up on the cushion here. Now, this is not Eldora. Oh, we got a car in the wall. Trouble on lap 101. It's our 4th caution of the afternoon here at the Moody Mile.
Keith Flack, the Flack Crane number 43 machine out of Ravenna, New York, up against the concrete.
That brings out a yellow. Anybody who needs one last trip to pit road gets the opportunity now. Here's another look at it. Flack spins and backs that car into the outside concrete here at the New York State Fairgrounds. Back underway, but we are under caution for the 4th time this afternoon. Less than 50 miles to go. Rick Laubach there in the 14. Tarbell in the 007. They're still out in front trying to do this on fuel mileage. Johnson is getting set for a restart at the New York State Fairgrounds. There'll be 35 miles to go to settle things in the ITT Industries Gould's Pumps Salute to the Troops 150 now. Laubach in the 14, Tarbell in the 007. Can they get all the way home here?
It's going to be close. They've got a tough competitor behind them in Danny Johnson.
Danny Johnson in that 27J has been on the move. Right behind him, Chad Brockman may have the most impressive drive of the day going.
All the gloves are off. This is the time to show your hand and go. And both Danny Johnson and Chad Brockman have made the top side work. Can they use it again to get by the 2 cars in front of them?
Down into turn number 1. Top 2 drivers really rolling the dice on fuel and tires here. Danny Johnson, Brockman, drivers who are just trying to go 100 miles, which is very doable in these cars.
Will Cinderella be wearing a slipper? Laubach pitted very early. Tarbell started 34th in the field and currently holds on to 2nd.
He's played his cards nicely to get to this point of the race. The question is, can he close the deal now? Pat Ward in the 42P. He started on the pole and he's raced his way back into the chase. Down into turn number 1. Ward in that Gypsum Express entry. Sitting in 10th position now. Danny Johnson rides 3rd in front of Brockman. Mark Kenyon, what about Danny Johnson's chances here?
Danny, say anything on the radio?
Nah, we're just a little underpowered. Car feels great. Gonna wait around for probably 20 to go and see what we can do.
Tires or fuel?
Yeah, we're good on fuel.
They're going. They are going. Here's Danny Johnson out of the inside of Tarbell.
On your bumper, look at the inside. Yes, sir. And you're clear. Got 4 off on the 3. Keep reeling in, buddy. The best lap of the race.
Danny Johnson, Chad Brockman just getting Tarbell moved out of the way, and they go to 2nd and 3rd chasing Laubach.
And you can see how much quicker they are over the Tarbell 007 as they pull right away from them. It's Danny Johnson and Chad Brockman trying to run down Rick Laubach's 14.
Now, as many times as Danny Johnson's run here, I'm sure he must know that Laubach is not likely to be able to get to the checkered flag.
And Danny's setting himself up in prime position. Now the doctor has to be careful. One little mistake and Chad Brockman's going to get by him.
Brockman is plenty fast back there, 3rd in that white 3 car with the blue trim. Danny Johnson in the 27J on the move.
Got to be thinking Chad Brockman's looking to push Danny Johnson just a little bit. Use up a little bit more gasoline or burn off some of that right rear tire.
Right rear tires could well be key on the hard clay surface of the Moody Mile as the laps wind down. The Saturday Small Block Championship, part of Super Dirt Week, 150 miles around. What about Andy Becchetti? We talked to him before the start, thought he'd have a great shot in that 4 car. Doesn't look like it'll be his day here.
Well, Becchetti was mired in the pit area a couple of times, and that's what slowed his charge down. But how about the guy behind him, Willie Decker, out of Vernon, New York? Rookie of this race right now, running up in the top 10.
Very impressive debut for Willie Decker, who tucks in behind Becchetti. Out of turn number 4.
What's the old saying, Rick? Sometimes you have to lose a few before you can win one, and that's been the case with Andy Becchetti here at Syracuse.
Well, it depends on what you do, I think, with those losing experiences. If you go to school, if you learn your way around, oh, trouble. Looks like Bicknell in the 42 may have a right front tire down. He's wrestling that thing to get it onto pit road. Leaders are in turn 3.
Rick Laubach has driven a strategic race here today, but does he have enough to go the distance Sunoco race fuel-wise? We know Danny Johnson and Chad Brockman have set themselves up to go all the way.
Well, it could turn on the number of caution laps. I don't think we've had enough. What about Bicknell? What's he doing? Bicknell right back on the track. He never stopped. Big pack of cars bearing down on him in one.
Matt Shepard in the 44 has to go to the top side. Pat Ward, Wayne Jelly, Tim Fuller, all right there trying to get around the 42 of Bicknell.
Now, why would Bicknell have done that? The only thing I can think of is was his crew not ready for him.
That could be. He can pull off on the back straightaway right there. Will he jump on to the cinder track?
Bicknell slow out of 2, but he doesn't take the left turn and go off the speedway. Maybe Bicknell's out there just trying to bring out a caution flag and give himself a shot. It comes out. 21 to go, and we get our 5th caution of the day. Bicknell with that right front tire down.
This could be huge for Rick Laubach. He doesn't have to chew up a lot of gas. He can just pace himself around right now, and the fuel mileage will come into play.
Or do they know he's going to have to stop as Bicknell comes back to pit road? Does he take the opportunity for a splash of fuel and give up track position here?
Boy, that's a tough call. You're out in front, $20,000. That's a big decision.
Danny Johnson's crew wondering how this one will play out, but they've got a fast car and a driver who knows how to get the job done at the Moody Mile. Top 10 as we get inside 20 miles to go. Laubach, Johnson, and Brackman the first 3. Shepard is 5th. We'll be back. Back at the Moody Mile, Syracuse, New York, preparing for a restart. The small block championship, part of Super Dirt Week, 150 miles, laps winding down, and Rick Laubach on the point for the restart. I'll show you how we got here. The pole sitter was Pat Ward here in the 42P, and on the very first lap, Matt Shepard took that yellow 44 car around him to lead on the high side. It would be Shepard, Ward, and the 42 of Canadian Pete Bicknell, 1, 2, 3 for quite a while. 50 laps on the board. Second caution. Shepard and the leaders come to pit road. Some elect to stay out. Shepard comes in but takes fuel only, gambling his tires will hold up for all 150 miles. And then contact with Brett Hearn on pit road. Either car seemingly damaged. Danny Johnson in the 27J gets his service completed. Not too many problems there for the doctor. Once we were back underway, Danny Johnson a rocket on the outside going around Shepard, roaring into contention. Chad Brackman in that blue and white 3 car. They elbow their way by Roy Tarbell, who was running second in the 007 down into turn 1. Johnson forces the 007 up high. Brackman leans on him and moves into 3rd, and Tarbell has to settle into 4th. And that's how we got to this point, where Pete Bicknell's charge ended with a flat tire. Bicknell did bring out a yellow, and that sets us up for this restart with just a handful of laps to go.
Got a white flag in the air here, buddy. In through your nose, out through your mouth for 10 seconds. Show Laubach what the doctor's all about.
Rick Laubach out of Quakertown, Pennsylvania is going to have his hands full as the doctor is ready to operate on the top side of the table.
19 to go at Syracuse. Brackman in that 3 may have the fastest car in the place, but Laubach holds on to the point.
He may have the fastest car, but Danny Johnson will make his car the widest. He will keep Chad Brockman behind him. He knows that the 14 of Rick Laubach is close to running out of fuel.
Chad Brackman in 3rd spot there in the 3 car. Back underway at the Moody Mile. Tarbell back in 4th in that 007. He's on that same fuel and tire plan that Laubach is. They stopped back around the 20th lap.
This has allowed the guys that were way behind to catch up now, including Matt Shepard in that 44S, Tim Fuller, and Pat Ward going to work on the top side.
Tim Fuller sits 6th. Ward trying to rim ride past him.
Come on,
He's got Wayne Jelly there, too.
Stay in there. Still there, still there, still there, still there, still there, still there. Clear, all clear.
Pat Ward hearing from his spotter that he is safely around the 45 of Jelly.
Very good job. Jelly still right there. Got one on Jelly. Clear, Pat, clear. Beautiful, Pat, beautiful. All clear. Let's go get Shepard now. Same thing. Let's go. Same thing on Shepard. Let's
Pat Ward down into turn 3 in 5th position, trying to chase down Matt Shepard for 4th.
Pat Ward in his 33rd year of racing. This would be the biggest win of his career if he could bag it here today. But tough company. Matt Shepard pointing at something as he went down the front stretch.
Oh, one car in trouble. And maybe another car in trouble. We see smoke from a couple of cars. That's Tarbell, who was 4th.
That was a nice hand signal to Pat Ward, the car behind Matt Shepard. But how about the communication between the spotters and the drivers here today, Rick?
Pat Ward using his spotter to perfection, rim riding to work his way up through the field. Now the top 3, still Rick Laubach. Danny Johnson in 2nd. Chad Brackman in 3rd. Laubach hoping for more caution laps so he can try to squeeze home a victory in that 14.
This would be the biggest win of his career. Shepard's in trouble. Smoke.
Looks as though the motor in the 44 has given up big time here on the front straightaway. Matt Shepard pulls up out of the groove. The question is, did he put fluid down on the racing surface?
The Randy Ross owned GU Hardware Courier Plastic number 44S machine. His day is over.
6th caution of the day here at the Moody Mile, and that'll produce a bad mood for Matt Shepard and his team as their motor gives up within hailing distance of the checkered flag.
He ran a great race, great strategy, and put himself in position to win a tough break.
Now Super Matt will take that car off the racetrack. One more look as he came down the front stretch.
That's where we've seen a lot of problems today with the drive lines and the motors right down the front straightaway.
Well, that's where you're on the gas as hard as any place around here. You've got it wide open, and sometimes they just don't last. All right, Rick Laubach retains the lead in the 14. Danny Johnson and Chad Brackman, the rest of the top 3, under caution. 13 to go. Ward, Fuller, and Jelly are next in line. We welcome you back to the New York State Fairgrounds. There'll be 10 to go when we see the green flag in the ITT Industries Gould's Pumps 150. Rick Laubach still the leader. Can he make it after that lap 20 stop mark?
Are these yellows helping you guys?
Yeah, they sure are. I think we're going to be okay in fuel to the end. But we have some competition back there. They're on fresher rubber, but we're going to be all right.
Has he said anything on the radio? He's driving his wheels off the thing.
I think he's a little hungry. I'm not sure. He said something about a sandwich. The car's working well. He said it's really smooth, and that's what we have to do to finish the race. And it seems to be a one-groove racetrack now, so that's part of our ability to stay in the lead.
Laubach trying to win the race of his life.
Well, if he holds on for $20,000, I'm sure he's going to buy a lot of people dinner. A nice young man out of Quakertown, Pennsylvania. Race car driver for a living. He also builds race car bodies, his own business, Lightning Bodies. This would be a big win for him, the biggest of his career.
Rick Laubach in the Alpha Mills 14, rolling the dice. Less than 10 laps to go at the Moody Mile. Danny Johnson and Chad Brackman, the rest of the top 3. They have no questions about fuel mileage, at least at this point, and we are back underway. Green in the air, 10 to go.
Danny took a look down to the inside. Laubach quickly shut the door. I'm sure they've been telling him, watch him on the high side, though.
Keep your eye on the car in 4th, the 42P of pole sitter Pat Ward. He has closed in as well. He's up alongside the 3 of Brackman now.
Ward holding back all his cards early in the race. Now it's go time. He knows it's time to get by Brackman and see if he has anything for the top 3.
Pat Ward doing a terrific job of that Gypsum Express machine. No change among the top 4. Laubach still out in front.
Chad Brackman passed Danny Johnson earlier in this race, and the doctor got back by him. Brackman knows he has the car to be able to get around Johnson, but you know Johnson will do everything he can to keep him behind him.
Tim Fuller, Wayne Jelly back there in 5th and 6th. Fuller also on that very early pit stop strategy, trying to stretch the fuel mileage. Now Laubach with a very, very light fuel load stretches it out over Danny Johnson. I would think he'd be really tiptoeing and soft pedaling that thing.
Boy, when you're out in front on the mile like this, you want to keep it out in front of everybody, but you've got to be conservative. It's a tough line to cross this portion of the race.
Look, for a moment there like Pat Ward was going to take a run on the outside to try to get by Brackman. Brackman closes the door. Ward drives to the inside. Rick Laubach may have run out of fuel. He slows to the inside. Johnson squirts to the high side. Laubach's day is done with 8 laps to go.
Sometimes the cards come up all aces. Sometimes they show up jokers. Rick Laubach and his team tried, but they just came up short to the jubilation of Danny Johnson's team.
About 2 gallons short of going all the way. It would have been 130 miles nearly on a tank of fuel. Haven't seen that done. Meantime, the battles for second. Pat Ward in that red 42P trying to race his way by Brackman's 3-car.
This is hurting Chad Brockman because Pat Ward is putting the pressure on him, so he has to push a little bit harder if he has to conserve his fuel load. But he needs to get up there and challenge Danny Johnson.
Well, for Danny Johnson, this is the best news of the day. A battle for second allows him to drive his own race in clean air. 6 to go now.
Danny Johnson has been following cars all day long. Now he is the race pace setter. As he brings them down the back straightaway, Chad Brockman's going to follow in his tire tracks.
Ward is third. He's tried Brackman a couple of times. Don't know if Ward has enough left to at least get second out of this thing. It has been a great battle today. Danny Johnson started pretty deep in the field. He has patiently worked his way to the lead with 5 laps to go at Syracuse.
Starter Matt Burdick showing the field a handful. Danny Johnson has had success here at the mile. He won this race in '94. He won the Ecker 200 in '97. But since then, he has not been to victory lane. Could this be his day?
Started 9th here today, and he has patiently worked his way into contention. They played their cards perfectly, stopped back around lap 50. No question about having enough fuel to get all the way home. He and Brackman stopped at the same time. The only question now is that right rear going to hold the last couple of laps?
You see Crew Chief Mike Burdick talking to Danny Johnson, saying to the doctor, just do it, man, just do it.
Johnson wants to be as smooth as he's ever been here at Syracuse to try to get home first in the 27J. Now Tim Fuller back there lurking 4th in the 19. Remember, he stopped very early with a flat tire. He's done a great job to get back into contention. Does he have enough fuel to get a top 5 here?
He stopped the same time Laubach did.
6 off. Good line there, Doc. Keep it up.
Spotter telling the doctor, Danny Johnson, to just keep it up, keep it straight, keep it off the fence with 3 to go.
This is what Syracuse is all about, the final 3 laps. The excitement builds, the nervousness, the tension. You can cut it with a knife, Rick.
Chad Brackman closing in just a little bit on Johnson down the backstretch. Ward watching from 3rd. Looks as though his bid to steal second from Brackman is over. Brackman may have a shot. He's going to try to go get Danny Johnson with 2 to go here.
Last weekend, the doctor won the Victoria 200 at the Fulton Speedway. That paid $20,000. This could be $40,000 in 2 weeks for Danny Johnson.
And just as we count Pat Ward out, he drives it in deep in turn 1 and closes right up on Brackman's back bumper. They'll see the white flag this time by.
All 3 of these drivers have won here on the mile. Brockman did it in a Sportsman. Pat Ward did it on Labor Day in a big block, but he's never won here during Super Dirt Week.
Danny Johnson still the leader in that black 27J. Crew rooting him on. There'll be 1 to go. White flag is in the air.
You know Danny Johnson isn't holding anything back now. He did that for 149 laps. Now the doctor's going to put the foot to the floorboard.
Trouble for Tim Fuller in the 19 car. Looks like he's run out of fuel.
Hammer it on, baby.
Fuller was 4th. Wayne Jelly moves to 4th now. A couple of turns from home for Danny Johnson. He's got a 3-car length lead on Brackman.
Keep going, baby. Keep going.
Johnson, Brackman, Pat Ward. That's how they finish at Syracuse.
I can't believe we won that race. Holy cow.
It's been 9 years for Danny Johnson at the New York State Fairgrounds. He is the winner of the ITT Industries Gould's Pumps Salute to the Troops 150.
Dave Thompson, the owner of that car, picked Danny Johnson to drive midsummer as Chad Brockman offers his congratulations. Thompson's first win on the mile. Mike Burdick as crew chief, his first win on the mile.
Danny Johnson. We'll meet him in victory lane when we come back.
Rush Hour on Dirt is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. We're ready in advance. Eckert Pharmacy. You'll like what we do for you.
Back in Syracuse in victory lane after the small block portion of Super Dirt Week. Danny Johnson from 9th on the grid rolls home a winner, a $20,000 smile to Mark Kenyon.
Danny Johnson climbing out of the 27J Native Poker. A lot of sponsorship behind this car. And the crew elated. Emotions ran high. Danny up on the roof. He'll salute the crowd, and they love him here. Danny, unbelievable. It was probably one of the smartest races I've ever seen you drive. Tell me about it.
I'm just in disbelief. I didn't think I had the car to win. I thought I had a car to finish, and then we had oil pressure that was fluctuating, and it really had our concern. And it's just, I was surprised we made it to the end, and you know, car falls off the jack in a pit stop. I mean, it's just unbelievable that we get a win after all.
Tell me about the battle with Chad Brackman, because you guys were going at it hard. You know, you had Brackman on you there. You were trying to get around Lawback, and it was just was a thrill to watch.
It's tough racing. What happens is, you know, us drivers, we try and conserve our tires, so we slow down a little bit in the corners, and it just creates a menace behind you, you know, because everybody's fighting for position. So, you know, that's what happened. It's just tough racing.
You won this race, what, in '94? This is a lot of momentum going into tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I just can't fathom what's going on right now. I mean, we won the Victoria here in Victory Lane now, and a great race car for tomorrow, and Lord knows what will happen. But this is just a pleasure to be here, and I got to thank my team, NativePoker.com, Dave Thompson, and the entire crew for giving me this opportunity and being able to capitalize on it.
Well, great things happen to great drivers. Danny Johnson in for the win at the Goulds 150.
2 $20,000 races he's won in the last 2 weeks. 40 grand, Dan.
And he'll try for $50,000 in the Eckerd 200. You'll see our coverage of the Big Block Championship later here on Speed. Johnson the winner, Brackman and Ward, Jelly and Cale Robidoux in 5th.
Andy Becchetti comes home in 6th. Behind them, Todd Stone, Gary Edwards. How about Rick Rickner right there in position number 15?
Tim Fuller has to settle for 18th after running out of fuel with less than 2 to go. There's Matt Shepard, 21st.
Pete McNell, 23rd after running in the top 3. Vic Coffey, 25th. Brett Hearn, a disappointing 29th.
Take a look at the final finishers here today on the Moody Mile. Decker, 31st. He was out early.
Jeff Marshall comes in 32nd. Behind him, Lance Willick's first car out. Car 37 in 37th.
Well, the runner-up today, he put a lot of pressure on Danny Johnson. Chad Brackman, Mark's caught up to him.
Chad, second place, heck of a race.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, our original Pete's Logs number 3 Bicknell car was awesome. I mean, we got behind early on our pit stop. Pits got kind of congested, but we came back. We changed another tire and just hit it with another splash of fuel just to be safe. And, you know, I was coming back up through, and I found the outside, and unfortunately I showed Danny that too, and he got me when I got him. So, you know, I just was trying to push him as hard as I could, hoping he'd either run out of gas or burn up a tire, but you know, neither one of them happened, so here we are finishing second.
Take me back to that battle with Danny, because you're right there. You could smell the front. Lawback runs out of fuel. Now you're in second, and I could see you had the thing earlier on. You brought your driving up a notch. I said you put it on kill. Take me back to the battle with Danny.
Oh, I'll tell you what, man. I was giving her all she had, but, you know, you got to be careful. Danny's Danny, and he'll run you just as hard as you run him, if not harder. And he wasn't going to give up an inch, and I wasn't going to give up an inch, and you know, I just tried pushing him as hard as I could. The last couple laps, we were flat out, man. We were running. So, you know, it was just, he had a little bit better car, caught that break when I got caught behind Tim there, and that was a deciding factor of the race. Unfortunately, it's happened to me twice now in the last 3 years, but, you know, we'll still take a runner-up spot.
Chad Brackman in for second place.
Definitely a family effort for Chad Brackman. His dad, Mike, a part of that team, and his brother, Corey's the crew chief. A great job today driving by Chad.
Comes up one spot short of grabbing a huge victory here at the New York State Fairgrounds. Well, the ITT Industries Goulds Pump salute to the Troops 150. Wild action from the very start. Drivers on different pit strategies and fuel strategies. Danny Johnson had the winning strategy.
It didn't disappoint us. The doctor made the topside work. Chad Brackman showed him the way, and then it came back to bite him as Danny Johnson got by him.
Second victory for this team in a major Dirt Series small block event in a couple of weeks, and Danny Johnson collects the $20,000 at Syracuse. For Shane Andrews, Mark Kenyon, I'm Rick Benjamin. We'll see you next time.